can you think of a more iconic Australian animal than the koala? I can't. I want to ask you to personally oversee the implementation of the 42 recommendations of the Upper House inquiry into the koala, because that's the only way we're going to save these animals from functional extinction by 2050. That's widely recognised. You've lived in an electorate where you probably remember some koalas. You're younger than I am. You probably remember some koalas down here. They've gone entirely now. But you're the planning minister.
The reality was, in key areas of the state, the far north coast, for example, where we had we have draft koala plans of management in Tweed, for example, and in Byron that could not be resolved, that could not be settled until this matter was settled, will now be able to be made.
Well, that's on you, Minister. I mean, those communities have worked hard on those koala plans of management for years, and they've been waiting for your government to get its act together to find a workable solution. It's taken this long, and now it's a very weakened solution in the worst of political fixes that's not actually going to help them. In terms of the RU123 that you say are now going to be under the old SEP 44, how many hectares is that?
Look, I can't answer.
Why not?
I can provide you an answer on notice, but I'm not sure. I know that there's roughly 802,000 square kilometres in New South Wales. How that converts to hectares and how
Minister,
coverage
don't you think
of different
it's important,
zones, I don't
given
have
that
that on top of my head.
this is the area that's highly contentious, that you're not able to tell the committee how much of that area it is? You're very quick to tell the committee that 95% of development. Well, of course, 95% of development happens around the city, but that's actually not where koalas live. So knowing where this is going to operate and the rules under which it's going to operate, I would have thought it's very, very important for us to know. I'm happy for you to take it on notice.
Yeah, well, you said you weren't. You asked me how many hectares, and the answer is I don't know off the top of my head. I don't think it's reasonable that I should know the square hectareage of New South Wales off the top of my head, but I'm very prepared to provide that.
You are the planning minister. You do actually know where all the zones are.
I do know where the zones are.
Yes, and you would know how many are zoned under the zoning.
I can't, quite honestly...
I'm not trying to be tricky here. It just seems fairly fundamental to me, Minister, that you...
But you're asking me to recount to you the number of hectares in different zones across New South Wales.
Minister, under this new regime, isn't it the case that farmers will be able to clear and then sell to developers? Isn't this the problem that you were trying to address previously?
No, not at all.
What protections are there then for farmers in those zones to clear and then sell to developers, creating a loophole?
Well, so in relation to a code, the agreement was that there would be the opportunity to create a new code. In fact, there's an agreement to create a new code.
Will there be a new code or not, Minister?
That is certainly the intention of the agreement. Obviously.
So just to be clear, who's the agreement
again,
with?
You're interrupting.
No, well, you're not. Well, can I just say this is a mess of a media release that you've announced overnight. We're trying to understand it.
I'm trying to explain it to you.
Yes. But just keeping talking without actually allowing us to clarify what it is that you're saying. You're saying there's an agreement. Who's made the agreement?
I point you to the signature.
So it's Mr. Barilaro, yourself, and Mr. Keane.
It's the government. The government has concluded that we will remake the SEP across.
But you can't guarantee that there's going to be a new code for LLS. That's what I'm trying to understand. That was a key requirement that you have stood by for the last, 12 months, and instead you've announced, in the future we have the opportunity to do a new code. That's not guaranteeing koala protection.
This settlement must, of course, be in concert with that objective, which is a government position.
Are you calling it a settlement rather than a reform because it's clearly a diminution of what your original aspirations were?
I'm not calling it anything other than...
You're calling it a settlement, which sounds like a political fix to me.
You can call it you can call it whatever you'd like. There is no diminution of protection in those areas with a new code to be developed within a particular time frame, and that will only be made if it, of course, meets the objectives of government, which is to stabilise and then increase the number of koalas in the wild.
So, Minister, will you guarantee... So, I'll listen very carefully to that answer. You're not guaranteeing that the code will be made. Is what you're saying is that it is a code that will be made to the satisfaction of the Environment Minister.
Well,
Is that what you're saying?
The process of making codes under the Local Land Services Act, and it's not an act under my administration, so...
No,
excuse me.
which is exactly the point, Minister. This is exactly what the National Party have always wanted.
But
Always wanted this.
But the important
this,
point,
and you've capitulated to this. That is actually the absolute point, Minister.
No,
that is the point.
No, the point is, what I was trying to explain to you...
Point
is
of
how
order's
that
been taken.
I genuinely think that this is a step forward. Do I think it's the totality...
Well, it's better than the National Party leaving the coalition.
Order.
All right. Sorry.
Do I think this is the totality of what's required to achieve the government's stated objective of stabilising and then increasing the number of koalas in the wild? Clearly not. It is just one lever. There are many other things that need to be done as well. But in relation to my role, which is overseeing a system to assess applications for development, in the overwhelming majority of areas where development applications actually intersect with the planning system, there are new laws that significantly increase protection of koala habitat.
That's great, Minister, but let's be real here. The majority of those areas are not where koalas live.
I am being real here, and the reality is, as I've already said, and we're now relitigating old territory, in relation to 3 KPOMs, draft KPOMs, that are waiting to be made, that could not be made until we're in a position to be able to achieve this reform or settlement or whatever set of words you want to
Well,
make.
settlement's the word you use, Minister.
It could not be made until we're able to achieve this point. That is a significant step forward. Is it sufficient by itself? Of course not.
And I don't think you want to be the person who presides over the demise of the koala, arguably Australia's most iconic animal. So it's over to you, Rob. You can do it. Why don't you just make sure that the 42 recommendations of the Upper House inquiry into the koala are implemented fully? I hope you do, Rob.